Good morning. We're at Clandonald School. We're going to do a little tour so everyone can enjoy the school virtually, relive some old memories, and just see where we're at to commemorate this time in history. So joining us today is Finley Harrower. Finley's going to give us a little bit of introduction for himself.
My parents are Chris Harrower and Suzette DeYoung. My grandparents are Peter DeYoung and Suzanne DeYoung.
Good.
And Finley is currently in grade 5 at Clandonald School. Also joining us is Frances Proch.
Hi, I was Frances Garnier. Both my sister and my brother went to school here, Larry Garnier and Louise Larson. And all 4 of my children went to school here. Maria was the oldest one, and Michelle, Mark, and Patricia.
And Patricia currently works at Elk Point School as an EA, is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah,
she works there, yeah.
And then the generations from my own family, we should have brought Rosie with us. This is my dad, Victor Lawrence.
I'm her dad, Victor Lawrence. I started school here in grade 1 and took all the schooling I ever had here because early in grade 9 I graduated. And all our children went to school here, Stacy, Tracy, Jody, and Lyle. And 3 of them are still here in the area. And that was about it for.
So my dad is still very active with the school, volunteering to do sleigh rides and things like that. So that's really awesome that he stayed connected. Clandonald is definitely our home. This is my son, John.
Yeah, I'm John Snyder. I went to school here from grade 2 to grade 9 and had a lot of interesting endeavors sitting in the hallway, I guess, for a lot of that time.
And I'm Tracy Snyder. I was Tracy Lawrence. I came to Clandonald School from grade 1 to grade 9 as well. And I'm returning as a sub here on Tuesday, and I'm super excited about that. All of my family has gone to school here. My grandma went to school in Clandonald. My dad and all my uncles and my aunt. I'll name them in case anybody recognizes them. Edwin Lawrence, Jimmy Lawrence, Duncan Lawrence, my dad Victor, Betty, who's Betty Putra now, and David Lawrence and Pat Lawrence. I think I mixed David and Betty up, but there they are. When I came to Clandonald School, it was full of Lawrences. I had a ton of cousins, and it really did feel like a family. And luckily, although I think that this may have been the first year there wasn't any of my relatives coming to school here, it still does feel like a family, so it's an awesome place to be. So let's check the place out. We'll stop talking. Just standing here in the hallway, I just want to mention the entryway. When I went to school here, we had to line up outside the doors before we could come in, and we lined up in 2 rows, the girls on one side and the boys on the other side, and we had to stand perfectly still and be perfectly quiet before the teacher would let us come in. And so that was different. When I moved back to Clandonald and my kids started school here, you guys didn't line up, I don't think.
I remember that.
Yeah, okay. So, and my dad was saying when we came in, I'll just let you talk about that part. This entryway wasn't here when my dad or Francis came to school, but what was here instead?
Well, it was a separate school here, kind of out right here, maybe a little further south, but further from the road, but just a 2-room school, and it went from grade 1 to 8, I believe.
Yeah.
And that other far end up there that was just built prior to that was from 9 to 12, I guess.
12, yeah. And it was a 2-room.
It was also a 2-room, and then the basement was a kind of a gymnasium type little
Gymnasium,
place, yeah.
Lunchroom kind of thing, yeah.
And then they built a piece on from the old school, left the old school there and built a piece onto it, extending east here a little ways. And added 2 or 3 classrooms maybe there, eh?
Yeah.
And these bathrooms weren't here, of course, they were out in the bush over there before that.
We used to skate across there's a slough across the way here. We used to skate there for phys ed.
Yeah,
And,
or a skating rink across where the Chrome Dome is now, an outdoor one,
yeah,
later on, and
yeah.
when the snow wasn't 3 feet deep on it. That we got to remove.
But this part of the school wasn't here when
No.
we went to school. It was built, we came in through a different entrance and there was a 2-room school there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they built a piece between it, kind of, extended east a ways, and then they built some more later and joined them
Yeah.
up. I don't remember what years, but
When they knocked down our old little 2-room school, we went to school at the convent for a year and a half maybe.
yeah, probably, yeah.
And while they built the part from those stairs, yeah, we'll get to the stairs later.
Sure.
And then we came here afterwards.
Okay, so the building that was sitting here, that was a Catholic school.
Yes,
And so the public school was where?
There were the hall is.
Okay, so the old hall building,
yeah,
okay.
to the east of here.
And then the building that was sitting here, is that now the residence, like it's now used as a residence here in Clandonald, it's been moved?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
We're just going to go into the grade 1-2 classroom. It's now the classroom, but when I came to school here, it was grade 1-2, and I think that's the same for John.
Yeah.
And it wasn't here, as we said, with Francis and Victor. And so Finley is in this classroom now, so he's going to lead us in. So when I came to school here, you would come in and there was just hooks on the wall and shelves, and you hung your coat up on your hook, and there was rows of desks. So Finley can tell us about what it was like in his time.
Well, the first year I came here, it was just cubbies, like turquoise cubbies. And then last year, there were couches here, and now it's just the bar. And at the beginning of the year, we were all like, it's my day to get on the bar. And now none of us go to the bar.
I would go to the bar.
Yeah, I actually forgot that when we were here, there was a lot of that turquoise. That's probably the only turquoise left here, maybe. But everything was turquoise, all these cabinets. And I think the teacher's desk was here, maybe behind some others. Miss Hamilton was our teacher here in grade 2 when I came. So, yeah, it's a lot different now than it was. Oh, I guess there's lots of turquoise left here. You guys didn't get it.
When I first came here, Miss J's desk used to be over there, and there was a wall, and if you made her something like good, she'd put it on the wall. So you always wanted to make the wall.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Miss J's desk is moved over there, and every month we move desks. So now I'm here in the purple desk, and John's sitting in Rowdy's desk. So, and there's like a new author every month, and this month we have Mo Williams, and he writes like the Pig and Elephant books and the Pigeon books.
I love the pigeon books. Your classroom is way more colorful and inviting than it was when I went to school here. And
Yeah.
obviously same for Todd.
These are the same desks though that they had forever, right? They just painted them nice.
They're
For your
They're like
initials in somewhere.
cigarette smoke yellow.
This used to be Miss McCormick's room, but now, like, usually just the grade 3s going, or 1, 2, 3s going here. There used to be bookshelf and bean bags over there, and then Miss McCormick's, like, messy desk. It always just had, like, piles and piles of paper on it.
Yeah, when I was here, it was grade 3, 4, I guess, would have been in this room. And yeah, it was Miss Shapansky was the teacher, and then I think Miss McCormick maybe was, did she start teaching here when I was, I can't remember.
yes, she just.
Linda Hook was in between. Linda
Oh, yeah,
Simmons.
that's great, yeah. So, yeah, it was just the desk, same as that other room, those old desks were scattered through here. And I remember there being a little computer we had back, like an old Apple computer, and there was some sort of weird game on it, but if you were the first guy here in the morning, you could play this game, and it was Curtis Marat. Every morning, he must have walked to school starting at midnight just to be here to play that game every single morning. I remember it being a big fight, but
I don't know why, I just remembered seeing that little cart there, but,
That cart currently holds 30 computers for our kids.
oh, wow. That's an upgrade.
No fighting over the apple tree.
Yeah.
This was grade 3-4 when I came to school here as well. When I moved back to Clandonald, my oldest son James was in grade 3, and so he started in his classroom. And his teacher was Miss Quist, Mrs. Quist, Jennifer Quist, who teaches in Marwayne now. And John's teacher was Miss Hamilton in grade 1 too. So yeah, I was in grade 3-4 here. My teacher was Mrs. Pratt. I'm not sure where she is now actually. So I really don't, yeah, nothing really stands out at grade 3-4 for me, so. So this room here, across the hallway from the grade 3-4 room, was, when I went to school here, it was the resource room. So if you needed extra help, there was a teacher that worked in here, and actually some students from Dewberry came and went to some classes here as well in this classroom when I went to school here. I actually remember interacting with them when we played King of the Hill during recess. So, so Finley, do you want to tell us about this room today?
This room is now our kindergarten room. When I was in kindergarten, this was the kindergarten room. Our teacher was Miss McKinney. There was Aiden, Harper, Olivia, Lauren, and me. I remember one time Aiden put like glue on his desk or something, and then somehow we got in trouble, and we but Aiden, and we all went to like the timeout corner. I don't even know how.
The one time Finley ever got in trouble.
I didn't even know how we got in trouble.
When I was here, when we first came here, this room I don't think was in use. Willie, my younger brother, was the only one of our siblings that would have used it. And I think Miss Belanger was his kindergarten teacher, is that right?
No, Miss Seitz, Mrs.
Oh.
Seitz.
Paulette Sites.
And Willie was always complaining about the nap times. I remember him complaining that they played nap time music instead of eat something good like AC/DC. When we came here, the kindergarten used to be on the far end of the building that burnt down, but Rena would have gone to kindergarten up on the other end of the building, and we didn't start the kindergarten here, so.
Yeah, and like I said, when I went to school here, this was the resource room. This was my first classroom though, as an adult, where I worked as an EA, was Clandonald Kindergarten. So it's where I got my start as an educator. That was very exciting.
Now it's still the kindergarten room, and Miss Becker teaches here now. There are 5 kids there's 4 kids that are here: Sammy, Isabel, Seaton, and Bentrix.
This hallway, when I was coming to school here, there were no lockers. There was a shelf and hooks under, and then I think a shelf for your shoes. So this was all open, and you could just hang your coat. I remember one time my sister got a bad haircut, and her hook was right here, and she was in grade 5-6. And she wore her toque, and she would not take it off, and her teacher was battling her, trying to make her take it off, and she ended up having to, and it was dramatic.
I've never actually been taught math or language in this room, but last year we did science and social and sometimes vibe every Wednesday, I'm pretty sure.
So this was never Finley's classroom, but John definitely was in this classroom.
For grade 5 and 6. Mr. S was our teacher, and I don't know why I get this classroom and the grades 6 and 7 classroom
7,
mixed up
8.
so much, but 6, 7, 8 is the next one?
Yeah,
I have Mr.
probably because you were in the hallway.
R.
They all seem like the same.
Yeah, it's the same side of the hallway. Yeah, I don't know, we had Mr. S in here, and yeah, like you were saying, he was definitely a clutter bug. He had boxes stacked on top of that side right up to the roof, and full shelving all along the back here, but we were just saying how he had some long-winded lectures and a pile of notes, but he would go from talking about Canadian social studies to whale reproduction in a matter of minutes, so
it was always an interesting class with him. We got in like a lot of trouble. I remember getting rearranged. We'd have arranged seating, so this was a bad back corner. I remember like Justin, Dory, and Jay Bernol and the whole crew. They were sitting in the back and always getting in trouble for talking. And they'd try and relocate me to stop. I was such a chatterbug in class, but I'd go from sitting to these guys back here to the front corner over there, and it didn't matter who I sat by. I always got in trouble for talking in class.
I find that very hard to believe.
Yeah.
When I went to school here, it was grade 5, 6. Bill Carter was our teacher. Bill Carter was another one who definitely, there must be something about this classroom actually. He was a character. He was often very disheveled. He was super passionate about teaching and about his students and really maintained relationships with them into their adulthood. Everybody would have a story about Bill Carter for sure. He also was a note taker though. He would start over here and be writing notes and scribble. You couldn't read them. He should have been a doctor. He was writing notes here onto the next board all the way around, and then he would start erasing over there, and that was pretty much our social studies class, was just scribbling to keep up. I do remember we had a little John in our class, and his name was Michael McCormick. He was an awesome kid, full of character, and he really frustrated Mr. Carter one day, and Mr. Carter went to throw a chalk brush at him. But sadly, threw the chalk brush and missed it and hit the very nicest, quietest girl in the class, Jennifer Koresh. She was so surprised that she didn't even cry. She just looked like, oh my, but Mr. Carter looked the same way. He was horrified, and that may have curbed his chalk brush throwing for a while.
Going into the old grade 7 and 8 room. So when I was here, this was grade 7, 8 room in the mornings, and then a triple split with 7, 8, 9 in the afternoon. I can't remember right, but I think it was core classes maybe in the morning, and then it was all option classes in the afternoon. But yeah, it was definitely full class at that time. I think John was saying there was 27 kids at that time in that triple split class. So she was a full room. But I'm trying to think who the teacher was at that time. Who was the principal there? He was a teacher. Yeah, Riel Herishuk was a teacher for Herishuk?
Yeah.
He was a teacher for a bit there, but I'm trying to think about Miss Seville was a grade 9 teacher. And then
You had Trish Rawlick,
Miss
Chris
Sims
Perry.
was, she came in for option classes at that time too, I think. Oh yeah, Miss Rawlick was there.
Chris Perry was your principal too.
For grade 9.
Yeah.
I think it was Riel and then Trisha, Trish, and then Miss Perry when we were grade 9.
Yeah, a lot of my memories in here blend with the grade 5 and 6. It just, everything seems the same. The rooms are exactly the same. But yeah, most of the same story. I was always shuffled around the desk to try and stop talking in class. That was the story of my life in Clandonald School.
This was grade 7, 8 when I came to school here as well. Carolyn DeFord was our grade 7, 8 teacher, and the other teachers were Bill Houston and Doreen Park was our principal. Carolyn was a really kind-hearted, soft-spoken teacher, but if you upset her, she definitely could put you in line, for sure. I saw other kids do that. I was never me, for sure. Yes, I don't think anything particular stands out for grade 7, 8 for me either.
The last couple of years, this used to be the lunchroom where, like, if you didn't have breakfast at home, you'd come in and have breakfast on the hot dog machine. There's like the garden tower over there. We grew like arugula, tomatoes, a whole bunch of other vegetables.
When I was in grade 7 and 8, I didn't even know what arugula was. So good on you. Grade 5 kid.
And then there is the one table, and because you always wanted to be the first one out for recess, you'd have to grab chairs from there and then put them back. But the one table, you just put the chairs on top, and that would give you like a jump, like that give you the lead. So then you'd be like, everyone would always race to that table, and then you'd get up first.
That's awesome.
And so lunchroom means we had grade 1 to 6 eating lunch all together, rather than just a few children in each classroom.
Awesome. And this year, the room isn't being used.
We never used to.
So COVID restrictions keeps everyone in their own spaces for eating facing.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing for us. We're all in one room anyways.
Right.
This is our staff room. Over the years, a couple years ago, it was renovated a bit with a fresh coat of paint, and we added a bunch of new cupboards and got rid of our coat area that was here.
Oh, it's nice.
Yeah, it is nice. So it's really great. We bring the kids in here for small groups if we're doing some cooking. Currently, I have my Genius Hour projects. I have 2 girls in here doing baking. One is learning to cook tarts, and the other one is doing some recipes from home or from her grandmother. There's been lots of birthday cakes and lots of laughs and a few tears sitting around this table. So it is really special. As our number of staff have declined, of course, we don't have as much time to sit together, or there's not as many of us to sit together, but definitely some great memories with staff in this room.
When I came to Clandonald School, students never came down this hallway unless they were going right to the principal's office. I actually couldn't even remember who the school secretary was, but I asked my dad, and it was probably Eva Schneider. So Mrs. Schneider and Mr. Schneider lived here in town. Gerald and McCormick had bought their house when Eva moved into, I think, Vermilion. And we just never came down here. The staff room, if we ever did have to come down here, the staff room door was closed. This area was very off limits to students unless they were going to the principal's office. If you did open that door, cigarette smoke would come billowing out of there. You couldn't even see in that room. It was a different time. And now for students, it's quite open and welcoming. Anita Duchek is the current secretary. I believe after Eva Schneider was Sharon Conby, and then Loretta Harashek. When we moved back here, Loretta was the secretary, and she was super helpful moving back to school and having my kids here. She was really helpful with getting us familiar with what was here, and I believe she was like super supportive of the students too. She moved on to J.R. Robson, and when my kids were going to J.R., she would invite the kids to come in early and take them on a tour around, let them practice using combination locks. And she was just a real understanding person, and she was an awesome support. And Anita is the same way. She is a super member of our school family.
When I started working here, Loretta was still the secretary for 1 year, and she'd had this desk refinished, and if you dare sit on it, she would give us heck and swat us, whatever, get off my desk. So Anita has been our secretary for 18 years and is more than just stay in the office secretary as you would in the bigger schools. So she has run the lunchroom like Finley was referring to with all the grade 1 to 6s, and she would supervise that every day, and she did the breakfast program and teaching the students about nutrition and healthy habits and good living. So this is her office. This year, Anita is also our school teacher's aide. So she works 3/4 time in my classroom with all the boys and girls in very much a teacher type role. And then she does 2 periods a day, if that, and much overtime as our school secretary. So she is playing dual role this year.
So this, as soon as we came in this room, John got into his chair, familiar spot, so I took the lead. I kind of like that spot. Finley was like, I've only been in here once and I don't even know what for. Definitely.
I don't think I actually had to come in here very often. I remember one time when Terry Stashniak was the principal, and it scared me out of coming back into this room. And then actually one other time, little redeeming one for me, was Miss Rollick was the principal, and we used to do the Big Buddies program, and she called me in here, which was a big ooh, but she actually just wanted me to take on a second buddy because there was not a number of kids, and I was such a good role model.
You were.
That is true. That is true, John.
I actually was never called in here either. I guess in my time in the corner in grade 1 cured me, really. Or I was really good at getting away with it. I don't know. My sister did get the strap one time. And
Which sister?
Stacy. Surprise. Yeah, Stacy got the strap in grade 6, I think, for giving her teacher a note that wasn't very flattering that my uncle had written for her as an excuse for not being at school. My uncle is almost the same age as us, so I should clarify that. Yeah. The principal, when I went to school, we actually had a few different principals. I don't even know who it was when I started, actually. I remember Mr. Chobatter. Some other people might as well. Mr. Pullyblank, I think, was the principal when we moved here. Stacy moved here in grade 3. Like when we moved back to Clandonald, Stacy was in grade 3 as well. And I'm pretty sure it was Mr. Pullyblank was the principal. And I just remember Mrs. Park really as the...
I think Brian Prediger was a principal here at one time.
Yes, yeah.
Terry Stashniak.
Yeah, we had a lot when we were here because it was Alan Chase when we came here.
Right, Alan.
Yes.
Then I want to say it was Herrera Chuck after that.
Riel was with me. So since I've been here, it was Riel Hererchuk, Trish Rollick, Chris Perry, Sean Stromberg, Sandra Barish, Tamara Stashniak, and this year's Bruce Pugh.
So maybe it
Off-site.
was Terry Stashniak after Alan Chase. Then.
No, he was
Alan was before.
just before Trish, maybe. I forget.
Terry was right before Riel.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there was a lot of turnover when you guys were in junior high, and
lots of
that
principals.
was a problem. But yeah,
But those
it's a great
secretaries
thing.
trained them up. That's
Yeah.
the secretary's job.
Yeah,
For
steady
sure.
boat.
And several of the principals are still working within the area as well, so
Yeah.
they got a good start at Clandonald, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So they call this an infirmary. Would that be
Yeah.
what you call it? So this was the infirmary when I was in school, and it was also a little concession area where they had the milk program, so you'd come get your milk, and you could get a drumstick or ice cream cone or something, and then a sub. So I was telling these guys I racked up a big tab one time, and Miss Duchuk made me roll my pennies into the actual rolls to pay my bill. But,
Broke your cookie or your piggy bank to pay your bill.
yeah.
When I went to school here, this was the infirmary, and there was actually a little cot in here that if you weren't feeling good, you'd come and lay on the cot until your mom could come and get you. I remember falling off the swing one time and breaking my nose. I had a bloody nose, and my parents were unavailable, so the teacher had to drive me to my grandma's house. Yeah. Into school, this was the grade 9 room. Finley, is it grade 9 for you?
No, it's a makerspace. Makerspace is like, it's a makerspace. You make stuff, where you can take apart stuff. There's like a waffle iron, a old computer, and some other things, and you could take them apart. But you'd be like, "Oh, we're gonna build a robot," but you just grab a hammer and start smashing it.
It's all about science, technology, engineering, and math. For John, this was the grade 9 room as well.
Yep.
So we're gonna go in and see our partners. When I came to school here, this was the grade 9 room. And the grade 9s were always their own classroom. And my teacher was Bill Houston. And we had so much fun in this classroom. I believe there was eight of us. I'm not, somewhere between 8 and 10. Most of them were, it was just 3 boys, I think. But they were troublemakers. And they were a lot of fun. Every day at lunchtime, we would have a huge food fight. So the majority of the girls would be hiding behind the teacher's desk, telling us to behave, but me and my friend Elaine Bartle and Roger Osenchuk, Rick Ripchinsky, and Andy Pearl would be flinging food at each other and just having the best time. Our teacher was in the smoky staff room, I think, hiding on us. It was so much fun. It was great memories. At the end of grade 9 every year, when my sister finished grade 9, Mrs. Park was our principal, and she decided that we should have a celebration to mark the people leaving Clandonald School, and so they started the Clandonald Prom. And so I think that was maybe 1986 was the first grade 9 prom, and so that was Stacy's class. And so then that was a big highlight for our grade 9 year as well, was the big grade 9 prom. So
Yeah, when I was here, this was the grade 9 room. Miss Seville was the grade 9 teacher, the last of the hard-nosed teachers. She was iconically known for her long braids that went down to the floor. But there was a lot of heated debates in this room because she had her desk up there. And yeah, I remember we were the first class to have video conferencing, and we had a smart board in the front. We video conferenced with Dewberry in here. But they had a row of computers at the back at one point there, and then that was a pretty good time in this class actually. But I got 100% on the trigonometry test in this class, so.
She's a good teacher.
Yeah, she nailed it.
my time as an EA in the Clandonald School started when my oldest son was in grade 9 here. So James was in grade 9, so all of us were in Clandonald School that year together, and that was really special and awesome. So I helped out with the grade 9 prom, and that was really fun. I was actually working in one of John's video conferencing classes as an EA, so Mrs. George was in Dewberry teaching there and delivering the lesson to here, and I was supervising the kids and helping them out. And I was helping Lacey with something, and I was just kind of not sure what she was doing, and I'm like, oh crap, I made a mistake. And all the kids dropped dead silent, and Miss Seville is on the other end, and she's like, who said that? And I'm like, what happened? Like, I don't know what's going on. I'm like, what did you guys do while my back was turned? And they're all like, it was you! So I was in trouble for the oh crap. Not such a great role model.
She did have a jar. She had a swear jar.
So also during my time here, my role evolved, so I was working in the library as well. And during that time, the Alberta government had mandated that libraries become more user-friendly and become more of a collaborative workspace, and started really introducing learning commons and the makerspace. And so in that role, I did some investigating on what the makerspace was. I was really blessed to work with a really collaborative staff that were willing to kind of let me take a lead, but also really participate and share their talents and strengths. And we developed this makerspace, which I agree is one of the best in Buffalo Trail. Our space is awesome. What we have here and our students' ability to use it is really magnificent. So we do a lot of, we did at that time, did a lot of STEM activities. I did a noon hour class, or a noon hour club, Young Engineers Club, where we would do challenges and the kids would build and try to meet those challenges. When we were designing this room, my son was just starting out in carpentry, and so I got him to build me this little wall that was multi-purpose and movable, because everything needed to be versatile. And so we had Lego wall, we had pegboards, we had magnetic and whatever, so I was pretty proud of him for contributing that way. But yeah, the teachers shared. Janice developed this awesome wall at the back that was really inspiring. The kids did some coding on the computer and lots of spaces. But I'm going to let Finley talk more about how they use the space.
If it was if it was too cold out or it was raining, you could go in the gym or come here. If you came here, you could play with Lego, board games, or build stuff.
So this is one of my favorite places in Clandonald School. This is my happy place. So when I went to school here, and to this day, this is the school library. I believe it has been, I don't know, as long as I can remember. I actually don't remember using this room a lot as a student, but we did use it a lot when I was working here, so let's go in. Yeah, so as I said, this was one of my favorite rooms. During my time working here, I was fortunate to be able to kind of upgrade the collection a bit and weed out some of the older books and bring in some new books. Jody Simmons worked in here as well before I did, and really updated the space with great furniture like this big chair she had donated, and I believe that we made a space that was really welcoming for the students, and I hope that I'll get Finley to speak to that, I guess.
I remember when Mrs. Snyder used to read to us, she had like these weird glasses, and they were like the reading glasses. They were like, just like oversized glasses.
Before I needed real glasses, the good old days.